Testing 1, 2, 3. Making sure you can see these beautiful seed packets. Hi everyone, welcome back to Sweet King's Garden. Today we are inside and we're going to talk about seeds. So I have no idea how long this video will be until I edit it, so feel free to pop me in your pocket, set me on your countertop or something. But if you're interested in learning what I am going to grow this year, I am starting everything from seed. I'm going all the way. Last year, I started almost everything from seed with a few started plants from local nurseries. What I plan to do is show the seeds that I have planned for this year's garden, but I also want to share the plants that I've grown in the past, what I've liked and disliked. Before we get started, I really invite you to comment down below and what are the must-haves that you grow each year. I'm going to start with some of the items that keep me organized. The very first thing that I have is my seed collection. So this is a storage container. I actually got it for Christmas and I was super excited about it. And shout out, my husband actually got it for me. But inside the clear box, which it has a nice locking system on it so you can clip it and seal it. But inside the box has these little compartments, and then the box also comes with labels that you can stick right here. So this has been really nice. I was so excited once I got it. I grabbed all the seed packets that I possibly could find that I had around my house, and I just organized everything. And I'll continue to hopefully utilize this going forward. I will link below where he got this, so in case anyone's looking for a nice storage opportunity for their seeds, but I have everything categorized, and this I'm sure will do well for me. Next, I also want to just share that I've purchased seeds from 3 different places this year. I've purchased seeds from Baker Creek, very first time buying seeds from them, and shout out to Baker Creek, their packaging. This is just like what the seeds came in. I was telling my husband I don't know if I can part ways with the packaging just because of the cool designs on the outside, but Baker Creek had a lot of unique seeds. I learned about them through my absolute favorite YouTube channel, Roots and Refuge Farm. If you are into gardening and homesteading, that is an excellent channel, and Jessica Sowards and Maya are just amazing. I've never met them in person, and I will fangirl if I ever meet her in person, but she is where I've gained a lot of my knowledge from, in addition to just gardening myself. I also purchased seeds from Seeds and Such. I just got a random catalog in the mailbox, and this year I purchased seeds from all 3. So Baker Creek, Seeds and Such, and Gurney's. I will provide their websites in the description below in case anyone is still in the market to purchase seeds. And then lastly, what I started to do this year was save each of those catalogs. I circled the varieties of seeds that I purchased this year. That way I know if I really like them and I want to purchase them again, I know where I got them. Lastly, and this may just be my 9-to-5 administrative job coming out, but I made an Excel spreadsheet of every single seed that I plan on starting this year. I wrote all of the categories out in each column so I know how and when to start things from seeds indoor. I can just simply filter the Excel spreadsheet and it will tell me, okay, these are the tomatoes that I want to get. I go into my plastic storage container, grab the packs of tomatoes that I want to start them at the necessary time frame, and then when it comes time to start my peppers, I'll do the same, filter the spreadsheet and everything. This will be my first time using that spreadsheet as a guide, so we'll see. And I also am utilizing the spreadsheet to mark the prices of each of the seeds this year. That way next year, if I have to buy anything else, I'll know, okay, I can see that the prices in these went up. I don't know if I'll need to reference that, but I figured more information is better now while I have everything in front of me. So with all of that said, let's get started. So what I'm going to do is just review the seeds that I will be planting in alphabetical order. So if you're looking to hear something in particular, just keep that in mind as I go through the order. So we're gonna start with the two types of beans that I plan on starting this year. And from the garden structure video, I shared our plan for our backyard. We're going to have arched trellises. These trellises will be filled with cucumbers, beans, and melons. So the first are the bullhide beans. These are purple beans. I got these from Baker Creek. I've never grown these before and I'm super excited. I do know the Roots and Refuge farm has grown these and it's been highly recommended, and she's always shown a lot of success growing these. So I'm super excited. They're beautiful. Purple's my favorite color, so I can't lie, I'm excited to see purple color all in my garden. So I will start those. And then next is another Baker Creek variety of bean, and this is the Chinese red noodle bean. And these are super long beans. I've never grown these before. Again, another thing that I gathered from the Roots and Refuge page. These are another item that will be grown on the arch trellis, and I'm just super excited to see how those turn out. So next we have carrots, and from Gurney's, I have cosmic purple carrots. These brought me so much joy last year. I planted carrots for the very first time last year, and a couple of things that I learned, at least in the growing zone that I'm in, 7B, especially in the summertime, we can have hot and humid summers. The carrots only do well from what I've experienced in the colder seasons. So this is something that I plan on sowing in the springtime and then also in the fall. Also, I learned that the seeds are super tiny, so as you're direct sowing them into your garden, just keep in mind how many seeds you're planting. You also want to allow a little bit of room, because as the carrots get bigger, you want to give them enough space to actually fully form. Otherwise, you can run the risk of the carrots growing too close together and not developing properly. You can always pinch off the tops of every other carrot in order to allow for more spacing. I've learned that that will stop the photosynthesis and thereby stop the growth of whatever carrot you're trying to eliminate. So I'm super excited to have these return into the garden. New this year, I have two more types of carrots. This is a hybrid carrot. It's called Sugar Snacks. I purchased this from Seeds and Such. Again, first time growing this season. This is your traditional orange carrot, so I figured why not? And then as I purchased my items through Baker Creek, I got this free sample. And who doesn't love colorful carrots? So these are yellow carrots. They're called Uzbek golden carrots. So we're gonna give them a try. So in total, I'll have 3 different varieties, and I'm super excited about that. Okay, next we have cucumbers, and these are always my favorite because I love pickles. I grow cucumbers exclusively for pickles, and also because Alex doesn't really like cucumbers, so we pretty much just have snacking cucumbers. So I've grown cucumbers 2 years in a row. They're just so bountiful, and they produce a lot in a short amount of time. So what I've learned from growing the pickling cucumbers is that I need to succession sow. Otherwise, I'm going to get cucumbers all at one time, and then that will be it for the season. I've always gotten the gherkin pickling cucumbers from Gurney's, and so I do have some seeds left over from those previous purchases, and I had 2 packs of those. But this year I had purchased more from Seeds and Such, and this is a hybrid cucumber gherkin. Next, I have a container that I have considered greens. This is kind of like a miscellaneous box for me. This is what I plan to utilize our green stalk vertical planters for, and that will save space, and it will also hopefully bush out to the point where it really makes for a nice centerpiece in the garden. So I have arugula, spinach, and butter crunch lettuce. Butter crunch lettuce I grew last year for the first time, and it did so well. I was able to harvest enough lettuce throughout the summer and into the fall and have salads constantly. So this is one of the likes and dislikes. So I absolutely love kale, but I've never been able to successfully grow kale. A few years ago, I found out that kale does not like heat. So last year I planted it in the colder season, so around the fall time, but then I had pests. So Alex and I don't treat our gardens with any pesticides or anything. We're super conscious of just chemicals that can be put into the ground, especially since we have honeybees. So I think I'm going to try and redeem myself with kale this year. And of course I have green kale and purple kale because purple is my favorite color. And I am just going to be more attentive. So I'm making the promise to myself to just be more diligent and checking for bugs that may be liking my kale just as much as I do, but I still have not had the season where I've been able to successfully grow kale, and I hope this is my season. This year, I've never grown or even eaten Swiss chard before, but it looks beautiful. This is another thing that will be new to me. I purchased these seeds from, of course, Seeds and Such, and those will be going into one of our raised beds. And then this is another new item that I've never grown before and I've never tried, but something that I seen on Baker Creek's website that, of course, was purple. So, as you can see, I'm a sucker for purple items. So, kohlrabi. I've never had it. I read about it that it tastes pretty good. So, we're going to give it a shot and see how it does. So, I did purchase these kohlrabi seeds from Baker Creek. I do have a container full of herbs. However, I'm not necessarily planting anything new. But as of right now, I do have an herb garden. I always have basil in there. Every year I make pesto, oregano, thyme, chives, and mint will go in a green stalk because it's very invasive. And I recommend anyone, if you have not planted mint, to make sure you do keep that contained. So next we have melons. So this here, for the very first time, and again came recommended by the Roots and Refuge Farm channel, the Keuka melons. So these are supposed to be personal sized melons that have like a cantaloupe taste from what I've read. And these make for perfect trellis plants. What I've learned from the Roots and Refuge page is that as they mature, you have to be careful because the melons can actually drop off the vine and then you ultimately can risk them cracking and splitting open and you may not be able to actually enjoy your harvest. So what I've learned is that you can put these in produce bags or some kind of entrapment where you can cover the melons loosely because you still want to allow for them to grow, but keep them attached to your trellis some way. That way, as they ripe and fall off the vine, they're not falling directly onto the ground, and instead that they fall into whatever entrapment you provided, then you can simply harvest from there. Another thing that we're going to grow this year we've never grown in the past are the sugar baby watermelons. So these are another melon, of course, that will go on the trellis. They're supposed to be larger than the Keuka melon. Another item I've learned from the Roots and Refuge Farm channel is that if you do have arch trellises that you can utilize, you not only save a lot of space, but you also eliminate the possibility that your produce can get overcrowded, take up way too much space, and then possibly being hidden underneath the foliage. If it's in an arch trellis, you're able to visibly see what's actually producing on the vine and when it will be ripe. Another item that came recommended from the Roots and Refuge Farm channel is the Keuka melons. So I've heard and learned from other people that these are quite difficult to grow. The packet said that I can direct sow, but I've also seen people that have encountered issues either direct sowing or even starting them from indoors and then transplanting. Apparently they may not transplant very well. However, I'm going to try and start a couple of these from seeds and maybe transplant a couple at a time and succession sow them. My hope is that these take off. They're supposed to be itty bitty little melons. They're supposed to look super cute if you pickle them. And of course, I love making homemade pickles each year. So I think between these being a sweet treat and nice for pickling, it will make a really nice addition for the garden. In terms of what they taste like, they're supposed to taste like a cucumber, not necessarily a sweet melon. So I'm very intrigued and I'm excited to give that a try. Next we have the peas, and for the first time I'm going to try planting edamame. I love edamame and I've cooked with it a lot. And I'm just excited to actually grow this for the first time. This is something that will be direct sown, and I did purchase these seeds from Seeds and Such. Making a return to my garden this year are the sugar snap peas. So I did plant these last year and I did not realize how viney they get. So these will definitely be put on a trellis of some sort. I also learned that the sugar snap peas do not like warm weather. So I had planted them in the dead of summer and they got ravaged by the heat. This year I'm going to sow these earlier in the year and perhaps another towards the fall time. So next up we have peppers. So I love planting peppers. We eat a lot of peppers, and I have to say by far my most favorite pepper is the poblano or ancho pepper. The first time I learned about that was years ago. Our next door neighbor had a garden, and one day Alex and I came home, and when we pulled into the driveway, we seen our neighbor had a big plastic bag full of produce from his garden, and in that bag were these gigantic poblano peppers. They were the first time we've ever had poblano peppers, and we found a recipe that I will make a recipe video about this sometime during the summer. And ended up making great stuffed poblano peppers. So that will always be what I plant every single year. I always plant 2 poblano pepper plants, and I have seeds from Gurney's. In terms of the poblano pepper, I did find from Seeds and Such a variety of poblano that's called the hybrid pepper trident, and that's supposed to be really pest resistant, which I'm looking forward to. So we're going to try to plant a lot more peppers this year and a lot more varieties at that. So new for this year is the Golden Greek pepperoncinis. I love pepperoncinis. I do plan on having these fresh in salads and then also pickling them. I've never grown sweet banana peppers before. This will be the first time that I am growing them this year as well. And then we have from Seeds and Such, when I was reviewing the catalog, I see these gorgeous streaky peppers that look like they're about this big, and they're called candy cane chocolate cherry tomatoes. So these are supposed to be a nice sweet pepper, kind of like a bell pepper, not spicy. So I'm super excited to try these this year. Next we have the Shishito Pepper. I have not grown these in the past, however look forward to having them this year. So one of the most favorite peppers, and I have a lot of favorites, are ones that my dad grew. My dad's name is Kirby, and last year he gave me a couple of pepper plants. I ended up harvesting a couple of peppers from those plants and then letting a few of those peppers reach full maturity, and I ended up harvesting some seeds. So I'm looking forward to planting. I have cayenne and habaneros from my dad, but they are very sentimental, so I'm looking forward to just having something that I could say my dad gave them to me last year. Okay, we're in the home stretch, I promise. So this year I am going to attempt planting onions and garlic. I've never planted them before, and I look forward to testing them out. I have to still research when the right time to plant those are, but I will dedicate a separate garden to those because I believe the soil requirements may be different from the other plants that I have. So I want to do a little bit more research before I can fully speak to them, but I do have just red onion, yellow sweet onion, and then some garlic as well. I do have a box full of radishes, all different kinds of varieties. I'm super excited to grow these again, not only because they mature so quickly, but because you can have different colors and different shapes and sizes. So next I have tomatoes. So I have a lot of tomato seed packets, but I am not growing them all this year. But I have a handful of new tomatoes that I've never grown before that I'm looking forward to. Tomatoes that I purchased from Baker Creek are the Prairie Fire tomato. These are supposed to be like a grape size, and they look beautiful in the package and are supposed to do really well, so I'm excited for those. Next, I have the Paul Robson tomato. I've heard a lot of great reviews about this tomato, and it's more of a smoky type tomato as opposed to your traditional tomato. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Next, from Seeds and Such, we have the Lemon Boy Hybrid. This is supposed to be a medium large size yellow tomato. So it's supposed to be mild in terms of taste. In terms of a dark purplish tomato, there's the Dark Star hybrid tomato from Seeds and Such. I have not grown these before. This will be another new tomato for me. One of my most favorite, and I know I keep saying it, but these black strawberry tomatoes are supposed to look gorgeous. I cannot wait to see what these look like on the vine. Again, another unique variety from Baker Creek. And kind of along the tomato lines, we have the tomatillos. I've heard these are difficult, so I feel like between these tomatillos and the Keuka Melons, they're going to give me a run for my money, but I'm up for the challenge this year. I am going to plant several tomatillo plants in hopes that we can make homemade salsa verde. That's something Alex and I love when we go out to restaurants. The last item I have for my list is just a basic zucchini. That's something that just produces a lot. It's a huge plant, so it takes up a lot of space. I plan to succession so that this year, just so that we continue to have harvest. Zucchini is something that I utilize throughout the summertime, whether it be zucchini bread, sauteed, or even eaten fresh. It's just really versatile in a lot of the summer meals that we have. So as you can see, we have a fully stocked garden this year. If everything goes well. So my hope is to be able to share as much produce as possible. I want to definitely share my journey along the way. We are testing out a lot of new things this year, and I'm excited just to see how everything turns out. Please feel free to comment down below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Thank you again for joining today. I hope to see you soon. Take care. Melons, cucumbers, beans, and I'm trying to think anything else, Alex? What? The trellises. All right, quick dinner break, and Alex is watching fishing videos in the background, so who knows if you guys will hear that. And this gorgeous, I'm still so obsessed with the Baker Creek packaging. I don't know if I'll be able to throw it away. Oh, yeah. Yeah.